Midwest Marty, the one-man party.
Yay!
Welcome back, gamers and game modders and innocent bystanders. This is Midwest Marty, the one-man party, here to do another video on Conan Exiles. Now, this particular video is about Pippi. I imagine this is going to be, you just got Pippi set up, and again, you just wanted to go through the settings and figure out how to get it up and running for the first time. Now, for everyone that's new to this, I have a separate video on creating your own custom dedicated server for Conan, so you can create your own server and have you and just your friends join it, and it doesn't cost a thing. Now, once you do that, I recommend getting this mod set up called Pippi. What that does is it allows you to create all sorts of custom content for said server, and you can create your own quests, your own content, and everything in your server to make it a much more engaging experience. So that being said, let's go ahead and start out. I'll show you how to get the mod from the workshop. We start out by going to Steam, clicking the workshop when you're on Conan, and then in the search box on the workshop when you're in the Conan in your library, you just type in Pippi in the search box, and it will be the very first mod that pops up. It says it's version 3.9.14, and that is going to be the mod in question. Now you notice there it also has the mod server management ID, which is 880454836. You will need to put that number in your mod call order, which is on your server dedicated server launcher tool, where it has you type in the numbers for the mods. Now if you have multiple mods on your server, you'll have to separate that 880 number by a comma between each mod that you want your server to load. Otherwise, those mods will not be available to be used by people that get onto your server. So good to know. Now that you have that installed, we go back to the game, and you'll notice right away in the game, when you hit escape, you go into your admin panel, everything looks a little bit different. And again, if you've never used the cheat mode with your admin panel, you have to initially go to settings, server, settings, make me admin. And if you have an administrative password on your server, you type that in and it makes you the administrator. Pretty straightforward. But once you have that done, you get in the admin panel, and here is the initial setup for Pippi. Now I'm just going to touch on each one of these categories because, believe it or not, the words you're going to hear a lot in this walkthrough are, I have a separate video for that, and that's because most all of this stuff, let's get real, there's hours and hours of content of stuff that you can change with Pippi. So initially this video is geared towards getting it off the ground so people can get logged into your server. Really straightforward. So this first page is just going to be a list of all the players that are going to be on your server. It'll keep track of offline players too, so that way if you need to see other players that have created a character on your server in the past, you'll be able to do that. You can do everything from here, from managing what's in their inventory to their stat upgrades, all that stuff, kicking play, unfreezing players, deleting the characters, whatever you got to do. This first page is all about characters. This will be about clans, is the second tab. This is where you can actually force changes with clans and things of that nature, create clans. This has lots of different uses for when people have clan-related structure problems where they abandon a clan and they didn't mean to, or so on and so forth. You can reassign them to it. It's a really good administrative tool. Also gives you access to heat maps. Heat maps are basically like, picture a map of the entire Conan Exiles surface area, and it'll show you little colored bubbles for where each clan has their buildings built, so that way nothing can really hide from you. warps. This Pippi allows you to do teleporting within the game if you want to, kind of like the game's default settings with the obelisks that create corruption and the map room. It's kind of like that, except for you can do them from NPCs. They can teleport you places, or a wide variety of different things. So this is where you would create new teleporter routes, and it would create a spot on the map, so that way you know where it warps to and from. And here you got the commands. These are commands that can be done through the chat, through the Pippi chat, that basically all have their own individual functions, and they all have their own individual descriptions. Now it's good to get acquainted with these at first, because there's quite a lot of them. And when you first start adminning your own server, these can be kind of useful to get in on there. There's not much that we'll have to do with the commands other than making sure they're enabled. One thing I actually probably missed back here on players is on your character, you're going to want to put admin mode checked on yours. Again, this is under players, your character. You're going to want to put admin mode, and you're going to want to have all these permissions checked for that player. So now that that admin mode is activated, we'll click off and come back. Should start to give us some more options here. Okay, so now we got Mushi Editor. This is what you'll use to actually create NPCs and the dialogue that the NPCs can do. So you're definitely gonna, as an admin, you're gonna want Mushi access, and you're probably not gonna want to give this to a lot of players on your server unless they are moderators, where you want them to create custom content. And the same thing applies to these, the move and clone features. Move and clone is for objects. If you need to be able to use the Pippi tool in order to delicately move objects around on the map, you can do that. It's totally different than the vanilla Conan system. This will let you resize objects. It'll let you take workbenches and shrink them down to like 10% of their size if you needed to. It allows you to assign ownership of things. There's a lot of different things that happen with this move command. You're going to want access to all this, so make sure those are checked. Under economy, this is kind of interesting because with Pippi you get an actual currency system. I noticed a lot of people are creating servers and then they use weird stuff like bloodstone or whatever as, you know, for golems and stuff. They use that as their currency. A lot of odd stuff, even though they have gold coins and silver coins that you have to mint. They're not practical. This game gives you an option of having your own kind of like metric system of money. So you got like gold, silver, and bronze, of course. Those are your types of tokens. They're completely weightless, and you have your own wallet for each character. So what's interesting about this is that you have like a rollover rate. You'll have to set this up initially when you start your server. My rollover rate right now is once you get to 100 bronze, it rolls over to 1 silver, and this should be a lot lower for what silver rolls over to gold. We'll set that down to like 10, because realistically, silver is probably only about 10 times more readily available than gold in this game. So this would make sense. 100 bronze would give you 1 silver. 10 silver would give you 1 gold. So you will have to set these accordingly. I usually don't have a payday and stuff like that for people, meaning that they'll just get a set amount of money just for logging in. You can do that though. That's all stuff you can do from here. But you just want to make that decision before you start allowing people into your server. The airdrops thing, I'm going to have a separate episode on that, but you do have the ability to basically send airdrops to players, kind of like you would in like Call of Duty and things like that. Kits are an interesting thing. Kits are something that you're not going to have to set up right away, but as soon as you start doing custom quests and things of that nature, you will, because kits are used for a variety of things. One use of the kits is for loot drops. So you would literally assign a list of all these different types of items that have a randomness of occurring in a chest. would be one way to use kits. Another way to use kits would be to use it as clothing for an NPC. So you can create a kit that just says like Exiles clothes, and it'll just be like the coarse linens shirt, coarse linens pants, you know, the coarse linen shoes, coarse linen gloves. That would be like what Exiles wear. So you could create a kit with all those things in it, and then you could just name it Exiles clothes. So that when you create an Exile NPC, you just, when it chooses what they got, what that person's supposed to wear, you can just choose a kit that's called Exiles clothes. So there's a couple different good uses for that. You also have the ability to allow people to purchase kits with gold or silver or bronze if you wanted to. This is something that can be set up as well. But again, we're probably going to have a totally different video on doing kits. Chat channels. This is going to be, of course, like the traditional Conan Exile server, where you have your global and local chat, and then if you create a clan, you'll have clan channels as well. This actually gives you the ability to create completely separate custom channels that people can go to, other than what comes with the game vanilla. Again, not something that we really need to touch on a lot right now, because it's not required to get your server off the ground. This Pippi settings tab is pretty important, so we'll cover this. If you want your chat to be safe for work, you want to make sure you have the profanity filter on. I usually don't show ranks or redacting sensitive chat. I don't do much with that. But you have to decide whether or not you want a profanity filter and add the words that you want it to filter out. You can do down here, this is the message of the day. Now, this is what's set up here in default. You can edit these or delete them or whatever you want to do. So that way it puts in your message of the day for the entire server, so they have to see it. You can set up rules for your server. Basically, if you want like no bullying or no building in common areas, blah blah blah, you can create your list of rules right here, and it'll display them all on the screen and make people agree to it before they can even join the server. So, and it'll give you like a verified thing saying they accepted the terms and conditions. That can be important, and it's something that you do need to set up before you start allowing people on your server. Announcements are something that it'll kind of toggle through and put into the chat every so many minutes, however many minutes you set it for. Usually this is good for if you just created a new set of quests, you can let people know about it. Be like, hey, this quest is available over in the Lemurian Peninsula. People will go over there and check it out. So on and so forth. You can put these types of announcements in there, and it'll usually just go either sequentially or random, whatever you got it selected for, and you can also choose when it shows. So interesting stuff there. If you have a Discord server set up, you can put in your webhook URL here, and you can actually send a lot of things back and forth, information between your server and your Discord. That can be useful for a lot of different things, for when the server actually goes offline, online, someone dies, silly things like that. So you can have all that information transmitted to your Discord if you want to have a Discord separate for your Conan Exile server. NPC menu, not really much to do here initially, but you can create custom NPCs and the way they look and their stats and all that stuff through this tab. But again, not incredibly crucial to getting your server off the ground for the first time. Cheat panel is exactly like the old cheat panel that you would have used on a vanilla Conan Exile server. That is exactly the same. You can still spawn in NPCs and things like that, just like you would if you were on a traditional Exiles server. Next, we have the log console. This is just kind of like if you hit the tilde key and you wanted to see what commands have been being called through the command prompt, you can do that there as well. So that, in a nutshell, is the stuff that you really have to do before you can get a server off the ground with Pippi. Now, I'll be doing a lot more videos about all the other fine-tuning that you can do and how to create quests and things of that nature, but this is the stuff that you want to make sure you have set up first, because these are all the things that you want to have set up before you have players come to your server, because they have to agree to your terms and conditions, and yada yada yada. I really appreciate you guys watching the video. If you can, hit like and subscribe. That way you can actually be notified when other videos come out, because like I said, I'm going to be doing sometimes multiple videos of these a day. So there's chances you'd want to see all the different changes you can make with Pippi to make your server a more engaging experience for the people who run on your Conan Exiles server. Thank you very much for watching. Midwest Marty, out.